Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. What's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back on into the Sports Buffoon Studios here in Lenexa, Kansas. We got JG over here to my right, excited once again about Jordan Poole playing here as of right this second. Tip-off is beginning, and Tanner Dawson to my left. What is going on, fellas?
What's going on, everybody?
What is going on out there?
I don't know.
As a matter of fact. What do you mean, what's going on, Tanner?
Well,
you know what's going on out there.
We had tornado.
First of all, now we're both the same age officially.
Oh, we are officially.
And then also, the NBA Finals is now gearing towards the midpoint, which I'm hoping is the end point very, very soon, just to get that all out of my system. But you guys covered this very, very well on Monday nights. So if you guys have not checked that out, check out the rest of our channel. Monday nights, the Tanner Dawson, as well as Jason and our buddy Nick. Is that right?
Yep, Nick Botkins of the Botkins Show.
Right. So all these guys have been together, holding it down for the NBA over the course of the playoffs. And after the NBA is all wrapped up, then we will be getting ourselves all prepared for the NFL season as well, diving into fantasy football opinions and takes and statistical analysis for you guys out there, as well as training camp, as well as preseason football. So we'll be here much more often as time goes down the road as well. So,
yeah.
Tanner, you've been working with Dan quite a bit too.
Yeah, I've been working on Dan on Saturdays, every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central. So on Let's Talk Sports channel. It's a great time. We talk about everything. We talked about the Philadelphia Phillies one time. So it's just a big, broad topics we do.
So also, you guys saw the thumbnail, obviously. We will be talking about some Deshaun Watson here in just a couple minutes. But first and foremost, JG, you're super pumped up once again. What are you sipping on over there?
Well, right now I've got some, what is this, Jack and Coke? No, I think it's probably a rye whiskey.
Yeah, rye whiskey.
Got some roulette
You
rye whiskey.
roulette?
So what I saw here happen was, Jason, you bought Tanner some whiskey. And now I think your goal is now to drink all the whiskey you bought Tanner for yourself. Is that what's going on here?
I like to drink everybody else's whiskey, and then I buy them more whiskey to replace it, and then I drink that too.
I like the way you think.
It's
actually
it makes
pretty
you
good.
seem like a very, very genuine, nice guy.
Yeah, it's almost like a
So-
Ponzi scheme because you think that I'm helping you out, but I'm really not. I'm just drinking all of your shit.
But you get brownie points because it's like, hey, look what I got for you,
Absolutely.
buddy. I love it. I love it.
But more
Great
importantly,
strategy.
this is the best time of year because the NBA finals are on right now. And I know, Mike, this is also your favorite time of the year because after the finals are over, you have NBA Summer League and then the NBA preseason starts.
Hey, don't forget about the NBA draft after this.
And then the draft and the NBA preseason. It just starts all over again.
NBA draft. Who could forget that? Who's going to be going number one, Jason? Is it Michael Jordan III? I mean, what are we down to? I don't know the players.
It's Scottie Pippen.
Scottie
Jr. Scottie Pippen Jr.
Is he going to be as good as his dad?
He might be almost as good as Gary Payton II. I don't know. Let's just see how it pans out.
Well, I'm excited to hear your analysis on that as we get rolling towards the NBA draft, Jason. So, maybe we'll do a mock draft like we did here on the show for the NBA, for the NFL.
I just want Mike to watch a damn summer league game. That's
Just
my goal.
one summer league game?
One summer
We
league
could probably
game,
make
dude.
that happen.
I'd rather go to my local high school in DeSoto and watch them shoot hoops, just in rec league, than watch the NBA summer league. So
That's fair.
yeah,
fair.
I don't have any interest in any of that nonsense. So, but you know who might have interest in some of that kind of nonsense? When he's bored in his free time. This is a person who gets lonely, I would say, every once in a while. Has a lot of free time on his hands to go travel around the country, maybe meet up with a few different people here and there, slide into the DMs. Yeah, we're talking about some Deshaun Watson once again running it back. When I say running it back, guys, we covered this a year and a half ago when the news first broke about Watson. Jason, you and I had our very strong opinions about this, and I've not come off my opinion about this by no means. Even though we obviously have more accusers now of the situation. New York Times has now put out the article that we're up to supposedly 66 women who've now had some kind of claim that they've had some sexual things go on, or at least advances made sexually by Deshaun Watson towards a massage therapist. So 66 massage therapists over the course of 17 months.
Lord.
That's a lot. I mean, I'm not really great at math here, but that's almost, 17 months. I mean, that's close to 4 per month. Wait, that's not even 4 per month. Is that 4 per month?
66.
It's 4 per month, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
4 per month, which sounds like about 1 per week, maybe 1.5 per week. Actually, I don't know. Depends on how desperate you get. But here's the deal: Deshaun Watson has had a girlfriend, I guess, throughout part of this, whatever. But NFL players, some people just understand the way things work when you're dating a pro athlete, and some are okay with it, some are not. But Deshaun Watson obviously plays by the game of his own morals. With that said, you guys, we now have 24 at the moment civil lawsuit claims by the current women that are involved in this case. And you saw there on our thumbnail, Ashley Solis, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She's based out of Houston, Texas. And she's been running her practice, I think, for only about 3 years, I believe, due to my own research, as a matter of fact. But with all that said, you guys, this now impacts everything going forward within the Cleveland Browns, who signed him to the richest deal of all time for a quarterback. This impacts him, the NFL, the face of the NFL. They don't obviously want to have a person who has been accused of doing these kind of things be playing on their field.
No.
This is the NFL's mindset. And they will do whatever it takes, in my opinion, even though nothing has yet been proven, to cover up and to save their own face of allowing someone to be on the field during a process like this. So my first question I want to pose to you guys before we even get into any other nonsense or banter about this is, so do you guys feel like there is potential for a Deshaun Watson suspension by the NFL leading up in the year? And when does it happen and for how long?
Well, he's going to get suspended. And the main reason why he's going to get suspended is because this is a scenario where the NFL must take action. It's not that they really want to take action or, that they think they want to do the right thing. There will be pressure for the NFL to take action, and they must take action because although these are not criminal cases, so let's make one thing clear here. There's no evidence that Deshaun Watson did anything illegal. Okay, so there were no criminal acts. However, my point is that the NFL must take action because, they've got to save their face, right? So we can't just let guys do whatever they want in this league. And so with Deshaun Watson, he's paid the price to a certain extent. Now, although it was his choice to sit out for a year, his skill set is probably not going to be what it was before he decided to sit out a year.
Well, that's not what they say about Colin Kaepernick.
Well, that's kind of apples and oranges type deal. But Deshaun Watson, he sat out a year. So in my mind, he has already been punished. But the NFL must suspend him for 6 games. I'm not saying that's what I would do. I would probably only suspend him for 4 games since he's already sat out a year. I do believe the NFL will probably suspend him for 8 games. It will be appealed back to 6. And so that is ultimately what I think will happen. But, we all know the NFL must take action because there's just so many dreadful things. I mean, Deshaun Watson just put himself in the wrong place at the wrong time, 66 times. So, oh my gosh, guys, we got to take some damn action here. Come on.
Well, my only issue is that right now we're talking about this in early June, and I clearly expect some more information to come out before we get to the point of him being suspended for 6 games, 8 games, a full season, or whatever. I think more information will come about as time goes on. So, in my mind, it's not going to be a thing of this many games or that many games. It's more about the NFL in the meantime has to put out some kind of publicity, positive publicity, revolving around this, because otherwise, the Browns made him the highest paid player, which makes a bad look on the team, especially when you showed some neglection towards your quarterback, Baker Mayfield, who is now extremely offended by the hiring of Deshaun Watson. And so you're dealing with now being in a situation, putting yourself in a horrible situation as a franchise of, bringing in Watson while also offending your main starting quarterback and also not trading him away when he asked, hey, okay, now trade me. And yet they won't do it. So right now the Browns just look like crap. They look like a shitty ass franchise, which is what they are. But the NFL's sake, I think that this is a case where they're going to end up suspending him indefinitely until facts are proven, until the entire court case is resolved. Because what they're currently looking at is a situation of all these accusations, and nothing yet is proven illegally yet. And so if it stays that way, regardless, that's still a bad look to allow him to play in the league while this is ongoing. So I think that he's going to be suspended indefinitely. But indefinitely essentially means we can bring you back whenever we feel like. We've seen this happen with other guys in the past. Obviously, in the NFL,
true.
Adam Jones, I believe, is one of them.
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon was one of them, was suspended indefinitely multiple times, I believe.
Yep.
And so they bring you back once they feel like, okay, you can come back. So it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 years. And so for me, it's going to be a situation where you got to suspend him now just to get ahead of the case. So Tanner, what do you feel about this?
No, I kind of agree with you. You do got to suspend him now, and let the Browns, if they have to move to a different depth of the quarterback, you got to do that. It's hurting the Browns, hurting the franchise, it's hurting the NFL really. But yeah, until those cases are done, you can't really do a lot.
Yeah, and the quote right here we have on our thumbnail as well was actually something put out by Deshaun Watson, I believe, last night on his Instagram. And the full thing goes like this. It's from a lyric from a song, I suppose. It says, "See, the blogs can't break me down. See, I'm the voice. I don't reply, but the rumors yelled unheard. I'm a humbly deny. Yeah, yeah." So I probably did that in a terrible lyrically accent, but I've never heard the song before.
I can't recall the song.
I'm just phrasing what it said. So obviously Watson is referring to the 66 women massage therapists that was put out by the New York Times. So he's going out there and saying that out there. But I think in a lot of ways he's being honest about what's going on in the way that even his own attorney's gone out there and said, "Hey, it's not illegal. It's not illegal to get the happy ending.
It's
not
illegal if you pay for the extra," is what he
Right.
said. But he said it's not illegal if it just happens.
Well, here's my thing. If it's okay for an NFL owner, a la Robert Kraft, to do something, why wouldn't it be okay for a black player to get away with something like that? Are we just going to go ahead and let a white owner get away with that shit, but yet we're going to punish a black quarterback? Well, I take a little bit of issue with that, honestly.
Are these essentially the same things? Because what I understand in the past from Robert Kraft is that yes, he did pay for sex through massage therapy, but that also it was well known and I guess it was warranted. It was accepted by the massage therapist. Where in this case, these 24 women have come out and they're all saying it was bad touch. And you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They're saying that it was unwarranted sexual activity that was being pushed towards them. But my one question, you guys, is that obviously this lady Ashley had made a statement here recently talking about how he had, essentially been touching himself on the table, I suppose, just from what I read, and apparently ejaculated onto her face and chest was the remark.
Well, that's very offensive.
I'm
offended by that.
I myself am confused about how you get yourself in that position to allow him to get to that point. I mean, even if you got premature ejaculation, I still feel like it's going to take a while to get to that point to sit down and allow him to do that. So was this truly something where she was forced to stay in place? Because in that case, we're talking about essentially rape,
right?
Which is not what's being accused.
Right. That would actually be a criminal case.
No one is accusing him.
That would be a criminal case.
No one's accusing him of rape.
It's just sexual assault, right?
Sexual,
or
I mean, I suppose you could put it that way.
Sexual
and then
assault,
there's the one other one who talked about him doing the baby or the yoga baby pose.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty interesting one where I guess he holds his feet up in the air and I guess he grabbed someone's hand and made her touch him.
It. Yeah.
That kind of deal. So far that's the only two detailed occurrences I've heard about, but I feel like there are some fishy things in this whole situation from the two women we've heard from's standpoint, and it's not adding up in my mind yet. And as much as I would like to believe, the testimonials here, I can't sit there and say yes, lock him up, put him in jail, ban him for life. You deserve 20 years in jail. I'm not saying that because so far we've heard it's a he said, she said bullshit, Limp Bizkit right there going at you with some of the lyrics for you. But I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe in this situation. But the NFL, no matter what, should suspend him.
They should at least put him on. Well, they could put him on the exempt list, right? The commissioner's exempt list, and that would basically take the Browns off, or be able to take that off their record, right? The contract for now.
Right. So that's the thing, guys. So it is a fully guaranteed contract, but it actually can be removed
Yes.
by the NFL if these things go down the wrong path, obviously. So as much as we sit here and talk about, oh, it's fully guaranteed, it would be if he's actually playing for the team or on the roster. If he's not on the roster this whole season, suspended, etc., by the NFL, that money no longer matters. So just put that in perspective for you.
That's kind of what I thought on that. No, it's, I mean, really, right now, it's just as we've been doing since actually we did the show March 21st, 2021, of our first, when the Deshaun Watson case broke. We've been waiting that long, and it sounds like we'll be waiting a little longer, possibly through another season before we hear anything else, and to see if there is anything on these 24 cases to happen.
It's one of those things that sucks to see unfold because Watson is a guy that's good for the NFL. He's good because we love good quarterback play in the NFL, and him not being on the field sucks. It hurts the game, because we got to sit there and watch the Texans just look like total ass. I mean, that's what we get to deal with now. And the Browns now put themselves in a situation where they're going to be ass once again. So Baker Mayfield, I can't imagine he's very motivated to go out there and give it his best.
Oh, I don't even think he plays. It doesn't matter
if I'm Baker Mayfield right now.
I'm not even playing.
I'm almost calling their bluff on the whole thing. I'm like, hey, give me a huge ass raise. Like I want a 1 year extension right now of some kind or bonus or whatever, because you essentially told me to F off, and now I'm telling you guys to go screw yourselves. Yeah. So now you're in a battle between your quarterback, who might be your main guy to rely on, and after Baker Mayfield, what else they got? I mean, that's all they have remaining.
So let's look at this, right? For the Browns, let's say no Deshaun this season. Baker Mayfield says, screw you, I'm not playing. So then you're stuck with Jacoby Brissett, Joshua Dobbs. And if you look at the free agent list, Cam Newton is a highlight there. Mike Glennon, AJ McCarron, Josh Rosen. That's really all you got. So there's not even much in the talent pool right now for quarterbacks for the free agency. You're just you're stuck.
So I don't think Baker's going to play at all, right? I think it's all about Jacoby Brissett right now. And when I first heard that he might be the starter for X number of games, I had a huge problem with that. But if we're going by my theory that Deshaun Watson's only going to miss about 6 games, when I look at the schedule, I actually don't have as much of a problem as I thought with Jacoby Brissett starting the first few games, because they're playing the Panthers, the Jets, Steelers, Falcons, and then after that, obviously Chargers and Patriots. So it gets a little bit tougher, but you could be 4-2 or 3-3 with Jacoby Brissett, and if Deshaun Watson comes back, let's say for that 7th game, they could be in tip-top shape. So I don't think it's necessarily the end for the Browns, but I certainly do not think Baker is going to play a snap for them this year. This is
their year for him to capitalize, because you could start off 4-0 right there pretty easily on that schedule if you had a Baker Mayfield that's motivated and gives a damn about what your franchise is offering. So, yeah, the Browns are doing Browns-like things, I mean, in my opinion. My favorite, by the way, quote from Deshaun Watson's attorney, by the way, Rusty Hardin is his name, was that he said his client booked numerous therapists because of the coronavirus pandemic. This reminds me of like going to breweries and it's like, oh, we can't do a flight because of COVID. So it brings me to my next question to you guys. But do you guys have a favorite COVID excuse that you guys have seen come about in your lives? Because during the COVID pandemic, obviously in the beginning phase, especially the first few months, you'd go to do something. Obviously everyone's doing their safety protocols, but there was always an excuse of, oh, we can't do this or that because of COVID, due to COVID. We can't have this appetizer due to COVID. And it's like, it's not due to COVID, it's because you're lazy. That's why you're saying this bull crap. It has nothing to do with COVID. COVID didn't make these extra glasses more dirty. So anyways, I just thought about that. You guys don't have to answer that. But
no, I am going to answer, because I think with, my favorite excuse of all is just the fact that a lot of people were working from home and they used that excuse which was COVID, so they could just stay at home and get drunk every day while they're on the clock.
That's not the case.
Ooh.
No, dude.
No,
I'm telling you that is the
That's-
case.
that's not the case for
Not
us.
at-
Tanner,
not
do you
at-
think anyone at your work, your company you work for, it sits at home, works from home,
Every
and gets
day?
drunk? Well,
Every-
maybe not every day, but
Nobody did that at my company per se, but I'm just telling you, there were places where that shit was
well,
happening.
you have a physical company, you got to be out.
Let's say
But-
it's a Friday, 4:00, right? You still got an hour left to go. I could see somebody popping over and open a beer around that time, and like you're from home, so you can take your laptop outside or whatever you want to do. I could see that, or a glass of wine or whatever. I could see that.
Don't worry. I know it happens because I did it at Quest Diagnostics. Shithole company, by the way. And I would go into work back then. I didn't work for them during the COVID thing, but I would go in there and literally just
before.
open up drinks and see if they'd fire me, and they wouldn't do it. That's how much I hated that place. So
So
this is way back in the day, guys. I'm much more mature by now.
So my COVID deal is all the restaurants taking off the good menu items because of COVID, and they couldn't get their deliveries and all that. So then you're losing all the good menu items. Like Kira, for my wife, we went to like 2 or 3 restaurants towards the end of that time in 2020, and they literally took all of her stuff away. So we were like bouncing, trying to figure out where to go because her favorite stuff was bounced around. A couple of mine were gone. It's just like they're like, oh, we got to shrink the menu because we can't get the deliveries in time. So that's my COVID.
Well, here's the other thing about Deshaun Watson. If we're saying that he had 66 different people try to give him a massage during the pandemic, I thought we were all supposed to be trying to stop the spread. This
Right.
guy was trying to enhance it, which
He
is
was a
another
super
reason,
spreader.
which goes back to my original point, which is why the NFL must punish him.
I agree. So not only was he going out and getting handies, he was a super spreader during the COVID pandemic. So
Only 6 games, though. No more than 6 games.
6 games for
anything-
you. I
going
say
overboard,
indefinitely, but I do think there's a reason that he should play at some point.
Tanner,
this year
you want the whole
if
year,
things
right?
are
No,
dropped.
Tanner wants the whole season.
I don't
right?
know what I want yet. I want to see how this works out. I have no.
I want you to be the commissioner. How many games should he get?
Right now, he should be out. Period.
The whole
Indefinitely.
just indefinitely.
He's-
Indefinitely
okay,
you're with me?
until
You guys are
until they
together
figure
on
life
that.
out. It should be
because I'm
he
not
shouldn't
saying the whole
play.
season, Jays. I'm not saying he should be out the whole season. I'm saying he should
already-
play.
yeah.
If,
I
if it
get
gets
it.
resolved, then yeah. let
In
him
my
in or
mind,
whatever.
he's already missed a whole season, so I don't care. But he must be punished.
By the way, real quick, can we talk about how the Browns may not be as screwed as we thought?
I
Why
think we
sure.
just did that.
No, well, kind of, but like we didn't talk about the why they're not going to be as screwed because Deshaun Watson sure might be out, no Baker Mayfield, but you do got Amari Pooper for some. David Bell came into play for the draft,
Oh my god!
and then Jakeem Grant's on the team now for the receivers, baby.
Oh man.
Guess what?
You're gonna sit here
This
and
is
try
a-
to give me the Browns receiving roster right now,
Has a chance.
and you're saying Jakeem Grant,
Jakeem
David
Grant
Bell,
could
who
be
I can't stand as a
sneaky guy.
prospect,
I know you did.
and then freaking Amari Cooper. That's your name.
Let's be
to
real.
throw at me right
Let's
now.
be real. It's going to be this defense carrying the team regardless.
Well, remember Clowney came back because he wants to win a
Because he wants
championship.
to win a championship.
Clowney
without-
came back.
And now it's been stuck with Jacoby Brissett as his quarterback.
I don't know if the Chiefs offered Clowney a contract or anything like that, but like his reasoning for going back to the Browns was that he wanted to have a chance to win a championship. I'm like, oh, what is wrong with you? Why are you so stupid? All right, okay.
All right, we got a comment real quick here. Nick from the Bakken Show said they suspended him last year, and that's why he didn't play.
Under the table suspension.
Under the table
That's
suspension.
what I was. Yeah.
we talked about
that's
this
what I'm talking about.
after the show Monday. We were talking about this with JG and I and Nick, and yeah, he mentioned that. And that could be a thing. This is a reason
The
why
NFL will not
it
allow
could
him
be a
on the
4 to
field
6 games
with these allegations. They will not put their shield on the line while allowing this person who's been accused by 24 women to be put out there in front of the world, because people will have a huge problem, especially women. You know what I mean? Like people out there who feel an effect from this and this and that, and like it will be a thing that will not be looked good upon whatsoever. And then at that point, NFL will be shunned because they'll be so focused on the money and the marketing of having certain players out in the field that it's going to end up in turn being a bad look in return for the NFL.
You know what? Whether or not he gets 4 games or 6 games, people are going to get over it. That's just how this society works in this day and age. Yeah, people will be pissed for like 2 seconds, and they're going to move on to the next thing. So
Yeah.
he's going to get 4 games or 6 games served, and that's going to be the end of it. And it's unfortunately that's how it works. But like honestly, the Ray Rice situation, we would all agree that's much worse.
Yeah, right
And
now.
how many fucking games did he get?
Much worse. I
Did he
can't
get
remember
4 fucking
offhand,
games?
I don't think he came back.
Oh, that's right.
Wait,
But
no,
he
he
was
did
old
come
as
back.
dirt, though.
Well,
No, he did come back.
He was
I
old
think
as
for like
shit.
a game or two, and then
So
the
that's
video
different.
release.
I will say this: no matter how this unfolds
Video
for
release,
Watson,
that's what it is.
even if he's guilty of all these, he will play again in the league. I
Oh,
fully
yeah.
believe it. Like, do
There's
you
too much talent.
do you feel like dogfighting is worse than what Watson's done?
Ooh, that's a good question. But the way that you worded that is very tricky because, as far as we know, Watson hasn't done anything. There's no evidence of anything.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, let's say that he did. Let's say
If he did.
Let's say,
Okay.
is that worse than dogfighting?
So you're assuming that he did something wrong. Okay.
Or
Well,
can we go back to the time when Peyton Manning was also getting massaged and pulled out his penis like when he was at Tennessee?
Peyton Manning. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to go back that far.
Because that was
That's a
something
legend.
that never really came to light, not quite like to this extent. So,
Well, I think with Peyton Manning, that was worse because there was evidence, correct?
all I know is an accusation, just
Okay.
like this. So,
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's all the same. Like all of that stuff is equal to me. I mean, just give them 4 to 6 games and get it over with. And if they become a second-time offender, now we got a problem.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
just real quick, the Peyton Manning deal. It was an alleged incident that took place in 1996 when he was a 19-year-old sophomore at Tennessee.
that's what I'm
Now
saying.
claims that Manning put his testicles and anus in her face while she
Mhm.
was examining him for an injury.
He T-balled her.
He
He gave her a T-bag, not T-ball.
Teabag, teabag.
T-bag. Imagine that, giving
To a trainer,
lady,
to a
a
trainer.
trainer a T-bag because you think it's funny.
I will tell you,
Well-
I believe that about Peyton Manning about the same amount that I believe about all of the Deshaun Watson shit. That's how much I believe that story.
Balkins said Brett
Brett-
Favre did the same
Brett
thing.
Favre's done this. Yeah, that's the truth, guys. Like these guys
Hey.
are not innocent by
Hey,
any
hey,
means.
dude,
The
you know what?
difference here is that this is a pile-on situation with having multiple, not just one or two instances. This is supposedly 24.
Hey, guess what? They all did something wrong and they all have a shitload of money. So they should probably give that money to somebody else that deserves it.
Like the massage therapist. Is that who deserves it?
Yeah. I mean,
All
if they got sued, just give them the money, dude. Pay it off.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got all of our thoughts on that off of our chest here. And with that said, I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. And I hope that whatever is going on right here, the truth of the matter prevails one way or the other. And I hope that we don't have 24 lying women. And I hope that, they're being honest about their accusations. I also hope that, Deshaun Watson gets everything he deserves if he's proven to be guilty of these things too.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I just hope that whatever happens in the situation is what is deservedly so. So with that said, you guys, that is our Deshaun Watson discussion of the day.
Passed it.
Let's talk about another superstar, guys. Let's talk about, real quick, I know you guys covered the NBA on Monday, but let's talk about LeBron James on The Shop. So this is his show, right? Is it a YouTube show, Jason?
No, it's a
how's
new
this work?
podcast.
New
that he has.
podcast.
Yep.
Everyone has a podcast now. Tyreek Hill has a podcast. Everybody has a podcast. So LeBron on The Shop apparently stated he would
We
like
have
to
a
play
podcast.
for the hell, we're on a podcast? Holy hell, I didn't know we did a podcast. I was talking to my buddies here. Anyways, so apparently during The Shop, he was asked who would like to play for in the remaining NBA
teams.
playoff teams, I guess, at this point. This was maybe a week or two ago, I assume.
I thought it was like very recent, last week or something like that.
And he specifically said he'd like to play for the Warriors, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Warriors are a great team, lots of talent. They're likely, in my opinion, going to win the finals. And he specifically said he'd like to play for Steph Curry at some point in his career.
Play with Steph Curry.
At some point in his career. So what I heard from you, Jason, earlier today, you actually mentioned to me that Steph Curry actually has no interest in playing with LeBron James at any point in his career. So maybe you can reiterate some of that to me and explain why you think Steph feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, Steph doesn't want to play with LeBron James. LeBron obviously wants to play with Steph and or the Warriors because that's like you get an extra championship ring handed to you on a silver platter no matter how much you contribute to the game. I actually think LeBron would be a good fit with the Warriors, and it would make the league sort of unfair, kind of like when KD was with the Warriors. But Steph wants no part of that because, as I alluded to about 2 weeks ago on our Monday show,
Here it comes, Nick. Here it comes.
Steph he's got a goal, all right? So he wants to be on the Mount Rushmore. Kendrick Perkins of ESPN has already stated that if he wins this year's finals with the finals MVP, he will be on the Mount Rushmore with LeBron James. So what happens then? Do you really think Steph wants to play with LeBron after that? Or do you think that Steph Curry would much rather become the best player in the history of Akron, Ohio, which that has not happened yet, but it's certainly a possibility. And so Steph wants no part of that shit. And which is why when they asked Steph Curry, he's like, no, when they asked him about LeBron, he said, I'm good. And that's the response that he should give, because Steph has a shot at getting 5 rings, 6 rings, more rings than LeBron. So why would you want to play with LeBron on a team that's not going to really be that competitive with the rest of the league? Because it's not going to be a super team. We're going to have to come up with a new term for what that team would be, because
cheat code.
When they had Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, that was one thing. But if you have LeBron instead of KD plus Jordan Poole, I mean, that's not even fair, guys. We used to say, oh, that's not fair when they had KD. This is a whole nother level. We would have to come up with a new term besides super team. I mean, you guys can think of a term, but it wouldn't be a super team. It would be something that is completely unfair to the league. And so that's the other reason why Steph wants no part of that, because Steph is a competitor. He wants to earn his championships, not to be confused with LeBron, who does not want to earn championships. He's always been on super teams for all of his finals wins. We're not going to talk about his finals losses right now. That's a different story. But on his finals wins, he's always been on a super team. And, Charles Barkley took a lot of heat when he said that LeBron doesn't want to compete. Well, when you're stacking the deck and you're on all these super teams for your whole fucking career, you're probably going to get that, reputation of not wanting to compete, because you have all these fucking Hall of Famers on your roster for every damn fucking championship you won.
Well, if he went to the Warriors, I mean, I feel like it would almost taint his legacy more than help it. Just because...
Durant?
No, not quite like Durant. Not to that extent.
Why wouldn't it be that extent?
This is a different situation. This is
Wait,
LeBron.
it's the same situation.
No, it's not, because this is LeBron at the end of his career.
So he's not
now
ring-chasing.
Trying to get one more.
Durant was ring-chasing.
The easy road. That's not the same thing. Durant was not... LeBron's, 38? Coming up 38?
Yep.
So the difference is LeBron's trying to get one more easy ring out of his system, which would be going to the Warriors, playing with Steph, playing with Jordan Poole, playing with Klay. It would be insane, right?
It's not fair.
But it's different than Durant, because in Durant's situation, of course, he wanted to play with a lot of talented other guys around him, but he's also not at the end grasping at straws to get one more ring. Situation of everyone wants to be a part of a well-rounded group of players on their team.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Think about the Warriors. Think about what Lakers tried to do. Think about what the Lakers tried to do when they built that shitty old roster. It was LeBron's idea to put together, just get all my buddies, all the old farts around the NBA, put them all together and see what happens. And it didn't work.
The only thing that would have made that better is if they would have brought in CP3.
Oh, I would love that.
Then people could have really seen how shitty those old farts are.
I would love to, this is a different topic, but I'd love to swap CP3 right now with LeBron James. And I'm just saying that because CP3 is just washed up as they come at this point. The whole all-star thing be damned. I am not interested in the all-pro, I should say. My bad. I'm not interested in all that crap going forward whatsoever as a Suns fan. So I'll put it that way for you guys. But, guys, do you think a LeBron on the Warriors could actually work, Tanner?
I think it would work, as long as everybody stays healthy.
Okay, stays healthy, but do you think they could chemistry-wise make something of that nature of putting together a super team, super band? A lot of times when you have a band and you
it falls apart.
Pluck a guy from Pantera, pluck a guy from Metallica, pluck a guy from all these great bands, put them all in one band, they don't get along very well. And
No.
musically, they don't fit in because they're all debating and arguing about how to make things jive the right way. And I see the NBA and the Eagles at one point put together a super team back in, I think it was like 2011, and they had Michael Vick and McCoy and Macklin and Sean Jackson, and they had all these pieces, and defensively, of course, lots of guys too. And that team was not good whatsoever.
Nope.
And that was considered back then a super team for the NFL's sake. I think sports in general, you need to have role players. You need to have guys that understand when they need to stand out, when they need to step up, and what guys are going to be counted on when things get hot and heavy in a serious game and in a serious playoff game. And I feel like in a situation where putting LeBron James on a team like the Warriors with Steph and with Clay and with Draymond even, I don't like the outcome that could come down to, because you're going to have guys fighting over who's going to be the one in control of running that team.
Kind of like it was with Enda Durant when he was there. So I can see it both ways. The reason I could see it positively come out with an outcome is the two finals they played against each other. They were phenomenal finals. They went at it. Both of them went at it the entire time. Both teams and LeBron James versus the core there. But I could also see it negative, because I could see, like you said, James would want the ball. He would want it from Curry. He would want to take up the floor, But he would also be a great fit at the same time, being able to play that 4 or 5 spot, as well as coming in, if Steph goes out for the leg injury, Clay goes out or something like that, then you can have LeBron James literally just fill in where he needs to be at the time.
It would 100% work. 100% work, because guess what? LeBron James, he can't play off the ball. He always has to have the ball in his hands. But the other part of that is that all of the Warriors know how to play off the ball. They don't care. They share the ball. LeBron, obviously a very good passer, loves to share the ball. So if he needs to be on the ball, then you're just going to go ahead and let him do that. The rest of the guys could be off the ball. It would work. It would be a thing of beauty, actually. But obviously, it's a hypothetical. There's a 0% chance of that ever happening. It's impossible. But it would be fun to watch, because I do think it would work to perfection.
Do you think they would pull a Chris Paul to the Lakers kind of veto if LeBron was trying to go to the Golden State?
Ooh.
I think that would happen.
That's a good question. Was Adam Silver the commissioner back then?
I think Adam Silver was the commissioner back then.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough call. That would be a tough decision for him.
That's the kind of situation I see happen. Why it wouldn't happen?
I've always been against that. I don't think they should veto anything that. But yeah, I don't think they would veto it. It's like I said earlier, Stephen Curry would be the one to veto it.
Correct.
And that's why it would never happen.
So Steph Curry's full quote, by the way, it's obviously like there's curiosity, like what would that look like? But also there's realism of like, that's what I said. I'm good right now. You can never let your mind go from what is your situation. What is your moment, your time, and who I've been rocking with from day one. That's his full quote.
Gotcha. Makes sense. It sounds like a very politically correct statement,
Mm-hmm.
but I also like the statement.
Yeah.
I think he's being honest to what he believes, but also just saying it the right way. So
yeah, I think it's good with what his situation is.
Good on Steph for that one. So, guys, LeBron's opinion be damned. Let's go ahead and give our opinion on what would be his best fit in the NBA. If we had to send him to one team right now, what would be his situation? We could put him. Obviously, the Lakers thing's not going to work. Put him somewhere else. I don't care what team it is. You could pick out whoever you'd like. What team from there on is going to be potentially a finals competitor with a 38-year-old LeBron James?
No.
I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics. And the reason I take the Celtics is because, if they win the championship this year, that's great. But I don't think they're not like a dynasty caliber team right now. They still need another piece. Even if they win this year, they're not going to go back to back.
Yeah, I agree.
But they also need, and I've talked about this on this show before, they need a true point guard. And that's why I was pushing for Derek White to be put into the starting lineup with Marcus Smart, because Marcus Smart is not a true point guard. But if you insert LeBron James as a point forward into that lineup, then I think everything becomes more natural, and you could just have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown on the wings, still have Marcus Smart doing his things, and LeBron James would be your point forward, he's a much more natural point guard than a guy like Marcus Smart. And I think that would create a dynasty, honestly, because LeBron James is probably going to play for another 2 to 3 years. And yeah, that would be, they would probably win at least, 2 out of the next 3 championships if LeBron was on that roster.
We think, Tim?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. So the Heat, guys, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, when it comes to playoff time and winning, they have the same kind of attitude, and I think they would complement off each other. I think that's the thing Jimmy Butler's been missing throughout his teams, the Bulls, the Timberwolves, even the Sixers, is that he never could get the other superstar on the same page with the right chemistry. Now, if you add LeBron James into that thing, I don't think you have an issue at all. I think Jimmy and him would complement each other really great. And on top of that, you got Bam down low. Now it's just a matter of, do you keep Lowry? Do you keep Hero? Get that bench figured out. But if you have LeBron James on there, you get a guy that could still bring up the ball just like Jimmy does at times, and really, really put a higher emphasis on the attitude of that team to push him to that next limit.
I was just going to say, we all got duped the other day by JG, and it was not intentional by any means. He had sent us a screenshot picture of a fake Twitter profile who had said that Devontae Booker,
there it is.
Devin Booker was potentially going to be up for a trade, or at least that the team was looking into trading him or open to trading him whatsoever. And of course, for me, I read this and I just took it. I thought it was true. I thought it was true. I went probably 5 days thinking that this tweet was real. And without even looking into it myself, I just saw the screenshot.
That's what I did. I was during work when he sent it.
We actually had a whole podcast with some other people from Phoenix, Arizona.
Redbird Red
Zone from Phoenix, Arizona, and brought it up on the show even. And I went back because I was like, I've actually not seen anything about this. And I went back and looked at it, and I looked at the tweet, and it was from a fake-ass account, and I was so pissed off. But my point in saying that is that LeBron James, knowing that Devin Booker is not going anywhere, would fit in very well with that situation there with the Suns and Phoenix, because here's what happened. CP3 can go skedoodle away, run along, read some books, as Max Schwinning would say, and we just plug in LeBron James to be there with DeAndre Ayton, and maybe he would toughen up DeAndre Ayton to become a true center like he's supposed to be and be a big body and not play like a big softie. So I think that LeBron would fit in well with the Suns. So, of course, I'm saying that because I'm a Suns fan, but I digress.
And I love LeBron James's fit on all 3 of those teams. I think I love it for the Suns because obviously you need like a point forward guy to replace CP3. But I think my favorite out of all 3 of these is the Miami Heat because it creates a really good story of him going back to the Heat to become a mercenary, play for Spoelstra and Pat Riley once again. But I also think it kind of goes back to when he was with the Cavs and Kyrie Irving was kind of the closer on those teams. I think Jimmy Butler would be the closer on that team because Jimmy Butler would be the dog. Mm-hmm. Even if you put LeBron on that to kind of carry the load in the first 3 quarters, I think Jimmy Butler would be a very good complement to LeBron James as the closer if that were to happen on that Miami Heat team.
Very, very nice, you guys. Well, finals game's currently on still. Celtics are up currently 46-32. So if you're listening right now, boom, there's a live update. Wow, look at us.
7:50 left.
Very nice. All right, guys. Well, let's jump right in. We are easing our way into NFL fantasy topics now this year because obviously it's still early June. Your fantasy draft is probably your fantasy draft is probably not until early September or late August. So we don't want to give you too much information at once. We want to ease into it just a little bit. And then by the time, we get to July and football season starting to really roll around, then we can start getting down to the nitty-gritty of fantasy football. So with that said, guys, our topic today is best value keeper in your league. So when I'm not talking about our league, I'm talking about all leagues, guys. So I want you guys to give me your best value keeper for keeper leagues, obviously, or dynasty. You could use it that way as well if you'd like. So what is one guy that comes to mind that if you have him on your roster and you have the option to hold on to him for this season, even if that means giving up a draft pick, who would it be? So, Tanner, I want to hear from you first.
Yeah, so my guy was considered the WR50 last year for going into the draft ADP. That would be Darnell Mooney, Chicago Bears. a guy that emerged throughout the season despite the horrible offense it was, and a guy that Justin Fields really loved as well. Last year, you could have gotten him most likely in the 8th, 9th, or 10th round. So if that's a fact, that'd be really great to keep, because right now he is rolling at ADP at 67. So that would put it third. No, that's wrong.
67 would put you at the beginning of the 6th round.
Sixth
believe,
round.
So.
So, but I've also seen the best as well. There's been mocks out there too that he's gone as close as the 3rd round, 3rd, 4th round. So that's a guy to maybe keep an eye out for, because if you look at the Bears roster right now, Quantum St. Brown, Byron Pringle, who may get suspended at times, possibly, Tajay Sharp, Dante Pettis, and Velas Jones Jr. Those are guys that, yeah, they're going to be out there, but Darnell Mooney is going to steal a lot of those targets as well, heavily fed. That Justin Fields loves from last year. The only really, I think, the returning receiver from last year for the Bears. So there's already chemistry there, and this is a guy that if you can get that value at around the 3rd, 4th round on this guy this year, he's going to be great.
And Byron Pringle, by the way, went undrafted in our league last year, so he's another guy obviously that should be drafted in all leagues, I would assume, considering that's their 2 main guys is Mooney and Pringle.
And Quantum St. Brown and Mooney.
Yeah, so
and Byron Pringle.
And that's what they're working with right now there in Chicago. And I don't know how Justin Fields is going to pan out quite yet. I do have high hopes for him, but we'll see, I guess. So, JG, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Cam Akers, running back for the LA Rams. And, he didn't go drafted at all last year because he was injured. And I just think that if he was a guy that you picked up at the end of the season last year thinking that he might be able to play, maybe in that last game. I mean, he did play near the end of the season in the playoffs, but he's a guy that if you can keep him and maybe give up like a 15th round pick or something like that, I think that's a really good value. Obviously, I think that Darrell Henderson is going to be heavily involved, but he's a guy that you could get at an ADP of 127 right now. So if you're going to keep Cam Akers, you could probably also draft Darrell Henderson, but you're only giving up like a 15th round pick to keep Cam Akers, and I just feel like he's a really good talent that could really have an explosive year this year for the Rams.
Yeah, you guys are going to hate me for mine because
real quick here on the Cam Akers though, I love that pick because Kyron Williams, the rookie, I think just broke something with his foot. I can't remember exactly what it was. My computer just died. But Kyron Williams, the rookie that could have stole some carries this year that everybody was kind of predicting, did end up hurting himself over OTA. So that could be a really great steal too, because now you got more of less of a carry share split between those 3 guys.
Yeah, and when you are keeping running backs, you want to go young no matter what. So obviously Akers, 22 years old, so you want to have a guy that's going to be young and fresh, even coming off an injury. Still better to go young on those situations, who doesn't have as much brutality put onto their bodies yet at that point in their career. It makes a huge impact for sure. My guy is somewhat controversial, I would say, on this situation because he's been a guy that I've liked ever since back in 2015 when he was drafted, and he's had a huge injury history, ups and downs for sure in the game, where he's had some really great years and some years where he didn't do anything.
Kind of disappeared.
And this is my guy. Devontae Parker is my selection for your keeper of the season. The only reason I'm saying that is because of value. So last year he had an ADP of 137. So if you got him anywhere in that 137 range, that means you probably got him for a 12th round pick. So if you're giving up a 11th round pick to hold on to, or 12th round pick for that matter to hold on to Devontae Parker, him being now the WR1 for the New England Patriots and Mac Jones, I love this a lot because I think that the system itself is going to help propel him quite a bit with a more structured style compared to what the Dolphins had to offer in the past for Parker. So 2019 for Devontae Parker was his best year. He had 72 catches, 1,200 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That is true, WR2 numbers at worst. Some guys could consider that WR1 even in some cases. But I think that this is a situation where as long as he's healthy, you have a guy who's going to be a 1,100-yard receiver. You're looking at probably somewhere around 70 catches and probably around 7 touchdowns for the season with the Patriots. Mac Jones is obviously not a deep threat, but Devontae Parker is not necessarily a deep threat either. He's got a lot of upside, guys. That's the thing that's most frustrating as a Devontae Parker fan over these years is that he's always had upside. He's had the talent of like AJ Green. He's just never been able to put it together the same way AJ Green had in his past in his prime. And so for me, I hope that he can get this thing pulled together even at 29 years old. I like at least one really, really solid season with Mac Jones throwing the ball.
I don't mind this here. It kind of worries me though with Mac Jones because you don't know necessarily yet what the Patriots offense is going to look like without Josh McDaniels since he's gone to the Raiders. And then you also have three returning guys from last year with Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, and Nelson Aguilar.
We don't care about assholer.
No, we don't, because he drops everything. But it's still a concern there because, I mean, it's guys that Mac Jones is comfortable with going into possibly a new kind of scheme offense. Possibly. Belichick, he won't show his hand until third week of training camp. So, but I mean, that if he stays healthy, he could definitely be a legit.
But he will be
threat.
Their best big receiver on the outside because you got Kendrick Bourne, who's undersized. You got Jacoby Myers, who's not exactly big. Where you have, in this case, Devontae Parker, who's 6'3", 215 pounds on the outside. That is your biggest threat on the outside as far as red zone targets. And then also just kind of just over the middle type of style. I like Kendrick Bourne a lot. Kendrick Bourne's a really good player.
The only other guy there that could pose a threat as well throughout the season, Tyquan Thornton, the rookie.
Okay, we'll see how that one.
6'2", right? Like he could be a big guy if he comes into play as well.
Yeah.
So
that one, we'll see how that one goes. Obviously, he's got great straight line speed, which if you're going to use him for anything, you either got screen pass or go route. The intermediate stuff is not quite there with Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it'll be interesting for this Pats receiving core.
Yeah. So anyways, you guys, do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up the show here tonight?
I just want to know when you guys are going to check out the new Whataburger up there at Legends in KCK, which is Patrick Mahomes owned. It just opened yesterday. Wanted to know what you guys' thoughts are about Whataburger in general.
Haven't had it.
I haven't had it either at all. But I will say, since I live in DeSoto, I would say like I guess I'm closest to that location. And I do like the Legends area. Legends area is very cool to hang out at every once in a while. And so if I go to the Whataburger out there, first of all, I'm not going to wait in line for 2 hours because it ain't worth that. But I will check it out if I'm in the area. Did they close down Hooters over there yet?
Ooh, that's a good question.
They should have closed it down by now.
I hope it did. I haven't seen it, dude.
It's rough place over there for the Hooters. But anyways.
Final thought for me, guys. Texans are to be added as defendant in the Watson suits. So
that is a good point,
wonderful.
Tanner. That's a good point. Going real quick back to the Deshaun Watson thing is that if you add in a NFL team, so not just a player, NFL team, does that look like more money to grab?
Oh, this is going to be ugly.
So I don't know.
More money to grab.
I don't think you mentioned it, but there was the part of the New York Times article was that the Texans basically scheduled those appointments and then had non-disclosure agreements brought into play as well.
Yeah.
Dude, Deshaun.
This is going to the Supreme
Court.
This is getting ugly.
This is getting ugly
fast.
Right?
So who's in more trouble right now, the Texans or Watson?
I can't keep up with it.
If the Texans are the ones who are scheduling
if
some of this,
Watson goes guilty, Texans are in big trouble too.
Well, the Texans might be more guilty than Watson.
Yeah, they might be at this point.
I mean, if this was a non-disclosure agreement,
agreement
at that point
supposedly was given to some of these ladies.
At that point, the Texans are in ownership of the whole situation.
Well, I'd rather that the Texans foot the bill on this because they have a lot more money than Deshaun Watson.
Honestly, that franchise might as well fold. Let's just call it over. Bill O'Brien got in there and rent to the ground. They had all their best players leave. And it's a disaster.
Yeah,
so
just sell the team.
Just go back
let's have a fire sale.
Let's go back to 31 teams.
All right, here we go. Here we got from the Bodkin show, guys. They encouraged his behavior and covered it up. Stop doing so when he asked for a trade.
Right. I saw the same things, actually, as a matter of fact. So they were helping or encouraging what was going on. And maybe the Texans were in on a lot more things than we realize. Yeah. So, but I don't know if you're one of the people here, one of the accusers, then I say at that point, you see an actual NFL team get involved, then you're just going, oh gosh, this is going to be a great ride.
This is I think a new deal if they become added to the defendant. So,
yeah. All right, you guys. Well, if you guys just now checked in, go ahead and skip on back to the beginning once again, where we have a 25-minute breakdown of our thoughts of the Deshaun Watson situation.
There's
But,
a lot to uncover, unpack there.
It's about
Yeah.
to get ugly. It's
Otherwise,
about to
we're going
get
to watch
ugly.
the second half of the NBA Finals game and get on out of here in just a second. So,
Appreciate everybody commenting as well today. Go check out the Bakken Show Sunday night, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Central, and then Monday nights with us here, 8 p.m., about 8 p.m. Central every Monday. We'll be here talking with Nick. So definitely go check him out. And then check us out, guys. So Saturday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central, I'll be on Let's Talk Sports with Dan. And then Monday night, of course, I just said it with Nick from the Bakken Show. JG will join us here on Monday. We'll be kind of hopefully wrapping up the NBA essentially. Mike's hopes at least. And then
up the NBA.
of course tonight, Wednesday nights, guys. Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central, live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. You can find us here with all the different topics here for an hour. So that's what I got.
all right. With that said, guys, the miracles do happen. The Royals won a game today. And with that said,
Brady Senior.
see y'all on the next one.
Pool party. Pool party.
See you guys.